Hey, here's a question I've got from most leaders. Most of us don't ask ourselves, but we absolutely should. Do my people follow me because they have to or because they want to? Think about that. The difference between managing and leading is this: authority and actual influence. Hey, welcome back to our series on the 5 levels of leadership. This is based on John Maxwell's framework, but taught through the lens of business ownership and real world experience. If you missed last week, hit pause, go back. We talked about level 1, which is position. And that's where every leader starts. It's where your title of owner, manager, pastor, foreman, it's what gives you the right to lead. But just because someone has to follow you doesn't mean they bought in. It doesn't mean they've earned your trust. If you missed last week, hit pause and go back. Last week, we talked about level 1 position, and that's where every leader starts. It's where your title of owner, manager, pastor, foreman, whatever it is, gives you the right to lead. But just because someone has to follow you doesn't mean they've bought in. It doesn't mean you've earned their trust. And today we're moving up to level 2 permission. This is where leadership really starts to shift from being about the rules to being about the relationship. And I know, the word relationship might feel a little weak, squishy, touchy-feely, a little soft. But let's be clear. The level of leadership is all about being But let's be clear. This level of leadership is not about being everyone's buddy. It's not about buying lunch on Fridays or sending birthday cards with confetti inside. It's all about building trust. It's about treating people like humans, not tools. John Maxwell said you can like people without leading them, but you cannot lead people well without liking them. And Simon Sinek says, a team is not a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. And at level 2, people start to follow because they want to. They believe you see them, hear them, value them. They follow you not just because of the title, the name on the door. It's because you've built trust that they can actually carry the weight of the leadership. Now, here's why this matters so much. When you lead from a position alone, you'll get compliance, bare minimum, quiet quitting, clock watching, 1 foot out the door at 5 of 5. You get a team that avoids you. They resent you, or at best, tolerate you. When you move into permission-based leadership, now you've got people showing up early. They're going to volunteer ideas. They're watching out for each other. They're going to take ownership. They're going to actually enjoy the work and trust the process. So what does it look like? This episode, we're going to cover a story of a leader who broke through the boss wall and started earning genuine trust. We're going to learn what level 2 actually looks like in your day-to-day business, the common mistakes that kill trust and how to avoid them, and the specific practical steps to start building a permission-based culture, even if your team has been burned before. We're going to keep it fun, grounded in stuff that actually works, no fake vulnerability, no kumbaya in the break room. Just proven people-first leadership that builds real influence. Now, before we jump into the story, let me just say this. If you're feeling stuck at level 1, if you're constantly frustrated that people just don't care or just don't get it, don't panic. You're not a bad leader. You're just a leader who hasn't quite moved up yet. But the fact that you're here, you're listening to this, that tells me you're serious about growth, about building something worth following, about becoming the kind of leader your team doesn't have to follow, but wants to. And that's what level 2 is all about. So I want to introduce you to Brian. Brian ran a logistics company, not a big one. It was growing. He had about 20 employees, mostly warehouse staff and drivers. Blue collar, hardworking crew, tight margins, tight deadlines, tight relationships. Not so much. Now, Brian wasn't a tyrant. He wasn't yelling at people or threatening to fire everyone every 5 minutes. He wasn't just leading. He had the title. He was the CEO. He was the owner. He was the boss man. But he also had a revolving door of employees, high turnover, low engagement, mediocre performance. He'd do everything right on paper. He would hold his meetings, share the company goals, send out those cheesy motivational quotes on Slack. He even had a ping pong table. And he would do everything right, on paper, that is. He would hold meetings, share company goals, send out those cheesy motivational quotes on Slack. He even had a ping pong table in the break room. He thought that would build culture. Something was still missing. One day, after losing another great employee, third warehouse lead in 6 months, Brian sat down with his leadership and said, "Hey, I don't get it. Doing everything right. Why won't they just get on board?" Coach looked at him and asked, "When's the last time you had a real conversation with anyone on your team that did not involve performance reviews, deadlines, or issues?" I mean, talk to him all the time. No, 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 no. A real conversation, human to human, not boss to employee. Brian had no answer. So his coach challenged him for the next 2 weeks, block off an hour a day, just 1 hour, and walk the floor. Check in with team members. Not talk about work, just life. He admitted the first couple of days they were awkward. He'd walk up to someone in the break room and say, "So, how's your week going?" Get a confused look and a grunt in return. After a week or so, something started to shift. He found out one of his drivers was caring for his mom after surgery. One of his warehouse guys was working a second job to save for a wedding. His receptionist was trying to finish her associate's degree at night. Brian started asking follow-up questions. He started remembering names, birthdays, picking up energy drinks for the third shift, checking in just because. And the craziest thing happened. People started smiling. Meetings became more collaborative. Employees, they started bringing up ideas to improve efficiency. And that turnover problem, virtually gone. 6 months, Brian's team didn't just perform better, they were happy. All this because he stopped relying on his position and started building permission. He didn't lose authority, he gained influence. He didn't become everyone's best friend, he became someone they could trust. Ken Blanchard says the key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. And Paul said, let each of you not look at your own interests, but also interests of others. Brian had conversations when needed, still made some tough calls, still held people accountable. But in those moments, his employees took it much better because the foundation was solid and he knew, or his people knew, I should say, he cared. And that's what level 2 leadership looks like. Not about emotional hand-holding or being liked all the time. It's about choosing to lead with empathy, consistency, and respect. And when you do that, people choose to follow. So, really, leadership doesn't work without trust. You can fake it till you make it, fake your way through a staff meeting, delegate tasks, call it empowerment. You can memorize some motivational one liners and stick them in the break room on the fridge. But if your people don't trust you, if they don't believe you actually care about them, you've built a house of cards. It's only a matter of time. The whole thing is going to come crashing down. Level 2 permission is all about building the kind of relationships that earns influence. The permission requires people skills, not perfection. Before you start thinking, well, I'm just not a people person, I'm going to stop you right there. Leadership isn't reserved for the extroverts or the smooth talkers. You don't have to be Tony Robbins or Zig Ziglar. You don't have to be someone who gives bear hugs and high fives every 10 seconds. But you have to be intentional. You have to show up. You have to listen more than you speak. 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? Yeah, I too have a problem with that sometimes. And you have to care about people, even when it's messy, difficult, or not performing at 100%. The core truth of level 2 leadership is this: people will only follow you as far as they can trust you. Trust doesn't come from charisma, it comes from consistency. It's built in the 5-minute hallway conversation. It's built when you remember their kid's name, when you check in on your sick mom. It's built when you're mistake instead of deflecting it. Let me rephrase that. Say it again, I should say. It's built when you own your mistake instead of deflecting. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And Stephen Covey said, trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships. So whether you're leading a business, a church, a nonprofit, or even a little league team, you got to get good at people. Not perfect, just intentional. Number 2, you can't fake permission. Let's talk about what permission is not first. It's not manipulation. It's not a fake friendliness to get people to like you. It's not vulnerability theater where you cry in front of your team once a quarter because someone told you leaders should be more emotional. Permission is not a performance. It's a posture. It's simply how you show up every day, even when no one's watching, when it's inconvenient, and when you're tired and frustrated. You earn permission over time. You don't get to demand it. Here's the tough truth. Some of you have been burned through trust, and you're going to have to rebuild it. That's okay. Don't rush. Don't walk into your next meeting and say, hey guys, I've changed, and expect people to fall in line. You've got to prove it. One good meeting doesn't cancel out a year of micromanagement. One how's your weekend doesn't erase the time you embarrass someone in front of their peers. It takes time, but it's well worth it. And guess what? Once permission is earned, your leadership has leverage. Not the leverage that intimidates, the kind that inspires. People follow because they believe in you, not just in your plan. And that's when the real momentum starts. And common mistakes that kill permission. Few of them. Here's some potholes you want to avoid. Playing favorites. When team members feel like there's a, quote, inner circle, and they're not in it, trust dies fast. Even if it's unintentional. If you always eat lunch with the same 2 people, or you only bounce ideas off your right-hand man, maybe you're constantly praising one department while ignoring another, people notice. You don't have to treat everyone the same, but you do have to treat them with the same respect. Avoiding conflict. Permission-based leadership isn't about being nice all the time. You can care about someone and still call them to a higher standard. You can like someone and still coach their performance. The worst leaders, they hide behind, I didn't want to hurt their feelings, as an excuse for avoiding hard conversations. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. That's from Proverbs. And Brene Brown says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. Level 2 trust gives you the permission to be honest. Use it well. And then not being consistent. You want to know what breaks trust faster than anything? Inconsistency. You're cool one day, cold the next. Your mood dictates how people approach you. If you change directions every week with no explanation, not leadership, chaos. People can't follow someone who's unpredictable. Slow down. Be intentional. Show up the same way, especially when it's hard. So what does level 2 leadership look like? Well, here's a few signs you're operating at level 2. Your team brings you problems and ideas. People feel safe enough to disagree respectfully. You're getting honest feedback, not just what people think you want to hear. Staff meetings don't feel like hostage situations. And turnover? Well, that's down and morale is up, even during tough seasons. Those things don't happen overnight. They don't happen by accident. They're the fruit of a leader who chooses connection over control. Now, how to build a permission culture? Here's some things you can do to start the week to move up to level 2 or solidify the ground if you're already there. Block out 30 minutes twice a week just to walk through the team's workspace. Just say hi. Ask questions. Listen. No checklist. No critique. No hidden motives. Just be human. Ask questions. Be present. Find natural ways to show people they matter, not just for what they do, but for who they are. Write a thank you card. Compliment someone in front of others. Ask follow-up questions about something personal they shared last week. These things don't just cost money. They cost intentionality. When I had my HVAC business, I used to handwrite cards. I would buy a bunch of blank cards and I would write a handwritten note in the card. And I wouldn't hand it to them. I wouldn't throw it on their desk. I would actually mail it so it got home. And the nice thing about doing something as simple as that, because now their spouse sees they're being recognized. Or whoever picks up the mail, hey, mom or dad, they got a card in the mail. Hey, it's from your boss. I wonder what that's all about. Creates mystique, intrigue. It helps them think that they're special. And they are, because you're being intentional. Hold one-on-one. Make it about them. Don't just check performance boxes. Ask them, hey, what is something going well for you right now? What's a win for this week? Could be home, could be at work here, could be personal, could be with your kids. What's something that's frustrating you? Maybe you can ask them, what's one way I can support you better? And here's the key. Once you ask, shut up and listen. How about model the behavior you want? If you want a team that's loyal, consistent, and coachable, you have to be those things first. Don't demand what you don't display. And when you mess up, own it. When you say you'll do something, follow through. When you ask for feedback, accept it with humility. People are watching you more than they're listening to you. Show yourselves in all respects to be a model of good work. And in your teaching, show integrity and dignity. Andy Stanley said leadership is a stewardship. It's temporary and you're accountable. So what happens when you lead at level 2? When you lead with permission, productivity goes up. People want to perform. Loyalty deepens because they feel safe and comfortable. Culture strengthens because they feel seen, not just by fellow employees, but from their employers, their boss. In communication, that improves. People aren't afraid of you. Innovation grows. People start bringing ideas without fear of being shut down. And here, this may be the most important. You'll enjoy leadership again because you're not dragging your team forward with willpower. When you're not resonating with people for caring as much as you do, when you're not consistently cleaning up after passive aggressive drama or quiet rebellion, you start to breathe better again. You lead again. You can build again. And that's what level 2 is all about. Not sexy. It's not flashy. Not fast. But this is where real leadership starts. Stick around. We're about to build on this with level 3, production, where results start flowing because influence is already in place. But before we get to level 3, let's talk about application. Are you ready? So how do you actually build trust? And I've said it before throughout this podcast. Day to day, I'll follow you through a brick wall kind of trust. You've been operating from position, meaning your team listens because they have to. They're not going to follow you through the brick wall. You can't borrow trust. You can only build on it. Not with a motivational speech, not with a team retreat, not with a catered lunch. One conversation at a time, one decision, one response. So ask yourself, do my people share ideas with me? Or are they quiet and reserved? Do they ask for my input? Or do they only want to come to me when they have to and they've got a problem? Do I spend more time correcting their behavior or encouraging their growth? And when I walk into the room, does the energy go up, stay the same, or go down? You don't have to beat yourself up, but if you're willing to look in the mirror, you'll start seeing where the cracks in the foundation are. Start small, stay consistent. Again, and we mentioned earlier, daily, every day being intentional. If you've been micromanaging, overpromising, or having emotional whiplash from leadership mood swings, you're not going to win with them. It's not going to be overnight. But you need to start showing up the same way every day. Follow through on the small stuff and ask good questions without jumping to judgment. And you want to praise progress even when the result isn't perfect. And you want to do it in public, right? You're going to praise in public and criticize behind closed doors. But you really don't want to criticize. You want to lift them up. Hey, how's it going? Awesome. That's fantastic. What's a win for this week? Where are you struggling? How can I help you? Oh, yeah? Hey, great. I noticed there's a couple things going on here. I just want to see if you're okay. Is there any way I can help you with that? It's so much better than yelling at them in front of everybody. Peter Drucker says leadership is doing the right things. Management is doing the things right. Again, make time for real connection. It's not a long-winded meeting, 10, 15, 20 minutes, half hour. It's just about carving out intentional time in your week to connect with your people. Relationship level, not just task-based. Weekly walkthroughs, one-to-ones that don't suck, What's something I might realize you're carrying right now? What's one thing that would make your job easier? How can I support you this week? It costs you nothing. But you know what? They're going to unlock gold if you actually listen. You want people to be honest with you? You got to create a culture where honesty isn't punished. Don't explode when people make mistakes. Don't punish disagreements. Don't shut down hard conversations just because they make you uncomfortable. People fear your reaction. They will lie, protect themselves. Everyone, according to James 1, should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry. Patrick Lencioni said, trust is knowing that when a team member does push you, they're doing it because they care about the team. Isn't that the kind of culture you want? You want to celebrate who they are, their character, their growth. You want to celebrate how they're helping others, their teamwork. Affirmation speaks directly to the soul of your people. It says, I see you. You matter. I care about you as a person. And don't confuse comfort with trust. Leaders think they're at level 2 just because everyone seems happy. Oh, the team's friendly, the vibe's casual, nobody's complaining. Doesn't equal trust. Sometimes people seem comfortable because they've stopped expecting anything more of you. They haven't bought in, they just resigned it. Real trust shows up in honesty, ownership, initiative, conflict handled well, feedback freely given and freely received. That's how you know people trust you, not just like you. So take the friendliness as a good sign, but keep asking, keep listening, keep acting. Howard Schultz once said, success is best when it's shared. That's permission in action. So the one thing to do this week, schedule one intentional connection with someone on your team. Could be a 10-minute walk and talk. Could be a one-on-one. Could be grabbing coffee. Doesn't matter. Just pick one person and ask one good question. What's something you wish I understood better about your role? And then shut up. You might be shocked at what you learn. How quickly that little moment starts to build trust. That's what level 2 leadership looks like. Not fancy, no flash, just faithful, brick by brick. Next up is level 3, production. We're going to talk about what happens when trust is already in place and now the results start stacking up. Hey, everybody. See you next week. Have a great week. And don't forget, schedule that one-to-one with somebody, 10-minute walk and talk, or grab coffee.